Let's Science is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a universe of scientific wonders.
Every day, scientists are inching towards breakthroughs which can change our lives.
We're playing our small part in sharing these wonders with you.
That's why today is a fine day for science.
So let's science.
Last time we spoke about chewing, and there was a bit of work in.
Okay, that was cool. I love that.
Digesting that information, but this time around, this is a fun one. All right, let's delve into the world of space robots. How about that? Space robots. So, firstly, an older one, Lino, and this is from space.com, and it was written in May. Meet the astrobees. These tiny cube-shaped robots, have arrived in space. So back in May, the Northrop Grumman Antares rocket launched, lots and lots of equipment to the International Space Station, supplies and so on. But amongst all of those supplies were two little robots called astrobees. Now these, I've got a picture of one in front of me. They're so cute, to be honest. They're really cool, right? They're
tiny,
like
yes.
They're like about the size of a loaf of bread. It's a cube.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've got two, they look like eyes. They actually look like they've got eyes. It's a touch screen with two dots on it and there's a camera integrated and everything. And it's just floating around in the International Space Station doing its thing. And they float around. They've got fans and that's how they move around. But they're these little autonomous robots that can float around the International Space Station and do work, which is really cool.
Nice.
So, as it says here, they look like something out of a science fiction film.
Oh, definitely.
If any of them speak to you and call you Dave, get out of there, all right? So just, if it says like, I'm sorry, Dave, get out, all right? Otherwise, they haven't... that's, what's it called? Now I just went blank. Space Odyssey, that one.
Space Odyssey, that's right. That's right, yeah.
All right.
I thought it was Alien, but for some reason, that's a different one. That's a different guy.
No, Alien had the androids.
Androids.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Let's not talk about the horror of AI going wrong. But it's a different thing altogether.
No.
Yeah.
Let's talk positive with some good robots.
Follow me if you want to live. Anyway, so anyway, that aside, these little they're little cube-shaped robotic devices, and they're like free-flying machines. They are entirely functional bots that have joined the crew aboard the International Space Station. And there'll be a third one. If it's not up there already, there's a third one that's going to be joining them as well. But they are going to help the astronauts with routine everyday tasks. One of their purposes is to reduce the amount of time that astronauts need to spend on mundane tasks, like, for example, finding a lost piece of equipment. They can do it for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. We need one of them at home.
Yeah, it's like, Astrobee, I left my wrench on the floor. Can you go get it for me?
My pen fell over. It's gone on
not my pen. It's floating away. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry, floating away.
Yeah. Can you find my phone for me?
Yeah. Hey, Siri.
Yeah, that's right. I better not say that too loud, actually, because I said it
I just didn't send down my phone off by accident.
Yeah.
No, go. All good. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. These little robots can contain multiple science payloads, and they can collect data as they float around. So they can do science while they're working as well, while they're floating around the station.
Nice.
Cool. So yes, like I said, they have a setup of different electric fans, which can help them to navigate and float around the space station. And they have sensors that will help them to detect dangers like radiation, carbon dioxide, and more as well. They have cameras built into the front to help them see as they move around the space station. And they have a perching arm, which allows them to grab handrails or grab and hold items. It is a limited capacity to grab things. However, this is just the beginning of, it's like, this is like level 1 of what these robots will be able to do later on in the future. So they can function autonomously. They can also be controlled by the astronauts, and they can also be controlled by flight controllers and researchers back on Earth as well. So they're pretty flexible in what they can do.
Oh no! I can imagine one of the guys down to Earth doing a prank on the poor astronauts up top. I can imagine all the pranks. Does pranks on them. Hey, get the robot to drop a pen on the guy's head.
Yeah,
or something silly.
Or float it towards their head.
Yeah, right to their face.
Or to float up to them while they're sleeping and go, "I'm sorry, Dave." I'm sure they've done it already. Yeah.
I think you've probably done a little practical jokes for that there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they also think that once the astrobees become advanced enough, so future iterations, they'll actually be able to maintain spacecraft in the future. So to imagine that human beings don't always have to be on the International Space Station, or if there's a spacecraft taking supplies to Mars, the astrobee, that you don't necessarily need people to be on board, the astrobee could maintain systems and things like that while the spaceship is flying. So the team is looking at developing further capabilities. So it says here, on future spacecraft, robots like astrobees could someday monitor the ship for problems and maintain onboard systems even if astronauts aren't present, as I was saying before. So in addition to transporting experiments on the space station and helping maintain the station, they'll help researchers to learn more about how astronauts and robots can work together in space. So this could inform future long-term missions, long-term space travel, where more advanced robots are helping to assist and also cohabitate with humans on these long journeys. So when looking at the new astrobees, it's clear that to see why researchers might be interested in how astronauts interact with them. They look like futuristic sci-fi companion robots, and they even have names. So to finish off, they have names. So the yellow one is called Honey. The blue one is called... all right. The blue one's called Bumble, and the third green one is called Queen. So there we are.
Makes sense.
We have three little astrobees floating around. They remind me of, I don't know if anyone they remind me of exocomps, which are these robots from Star Trek The Next Generation, which became part of like comedic parody on what's it called, on Lower Decks. So if you remember Peanut Hamper, so Peanut Hamper is a one of those,
Okay.
They remind me a little bit about of those,
Cool.
So they have microphones as well, so that they can hear and so that people can talk into them and communicate as well. But they have lights to tell you when cameras and microphones are on as well, so that they know they're not being eavesdropped on or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's so cool.
That's the first robot, right? The second one is not so much a robot that can fly around. It's a device. It's also cube shape, about the size of a loaf of bread, and it's very cool. This one is called MOXIE, and MOXIE right now is creating oxygen on Mars, which is awesome.
Cool.
So
wow.
I love this one. This was actually contributed by Caroline. She shared this one with us.
Yep.
So Caroline, thank you for this, because it's such a great story. So this story is from the Smithsonian Magazine, and it says, if humans are going to travel to Mars, they'll need to get oxygen from somewhere. So compared to Earth's atmosphere, which is 21% oxygen, Mars is just 0.16% oxygen. So not good enough for humans.
Definitely not.
So these lunchbox-sized instruments called MOXIE, there's one of them that's actually on board NASA's Perseverance rover. We did an episode on the Perseverance rover last year when it successfully landed on Mars.
And it's still there, isn't it, Lynn?
Still there, rolling around, doing science and launching a drone and things like that. Yeah.
Nice.
MOXIE is one device that's actually attached to it, and it has been creating oxygen, breathable oxygen, on Mars. So it successfully produced oxygen in 7 different tests that were conducted in 2021, according to a paper that was published recently in the Journal of Science Advances. So if astronauts were to go to Mars, they'd need oxygen to breathe, but they also need oxygen to fuel rockets too. So for example, we use liquid oxygen as part of the fuel of rockets here on Earth. However,
makes sense.
However, they would need 4 times the liquid oxygen to lift off from Mars's atmosphere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they do need to generate a lot of oxygen on Mars if there's to be a successful human presence, but also space program of going there, launching from there, and so on. If someone goes there, we need to have the capacity to return them as well. It shouldn't be a one-way trip.
A one-way trip, yeah.
So this instrument would produce oxygen cheaply and would be a very efficient way to do that. So MOXIE, or the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, was able to produce 6 grams of oxygen per hour during the test. So that's about the rate of a small tree. Right, so a small tree's worth of oxygen per hour, which is a good start.
It's a step.
It's a good step. Yep. So it makes oxygen by compressing and heating carbon dioxide from Mars's atmosphere to about 800 degrees-ish Celsius, or 1500 degrees Fahrenheit if you use Fahrenheit as your measurement. And what that does is it causes the carbon dioxide to split into oxygen ions and carbon monoxide. Then the device recombines the oxygen ions to make breathable and combustible oxygen gas. So the and the byproducts from this are not harmful to the Martian atmosphere. So it's also very sustainable. So
there you go. Yep.
So it's really good. Yeah, we talked about care for creation. Yeah, so there you go. So with these experiments, MOXIE has proven it can work reliably. Across a variety of tests, the device produced the total of 100 minutes worth of breathable oxygen during all those tests. So one astronaut would have 100 minutes of breathable oxygen from what has managed to happen so far. It performed predictably during day and night in different extreme temperatures and following a dust storm, so that was good. So the only thing that they need to demonstrate now is how it would run at dawn or dusk when the temperature change is substantial. So this is the next.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So temperatures do change even with.
Mars.
Okay,
it can be very extreme. And so
Gotcha.
they need to see how it works in these extreme changes if they want it to be a sustainable, usable thing into the future on Mars.
Exactly.
So in order to make enough oxygen to support a mission to Mars and send people back, MOXIE would need to create at least about, I think this worked out to about 3 kilograms. I'm converting pounds here. So it says 4.5 to 6.5 pounds. So that's 3 to 5 kilograms of oxygen, which would require scaling things up by several hundred times. So it needs to be 100 times, we need to work 100 times, faster or be 100 times, not larger, but, it needs to be scaled up quite significantly.
Exactly. It would be. Yeah.
So what they're doing now is working on a device that's about a cubic meter in size. So they're upscaling now to move to the next stage of testing. So the bigger device to support a human mission would need to be running continuously for 400 days on Mars.
Whoa.
So it's got to run a lot. So that's a lot of hours to put on the hardware, it says, irrespective of what the technology is.
Definitely.
And this is technology that needs to work continuously for 400 days on Mars in a different, in different conditions. So not
Conditions
on Earth
and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Wow. Okay.
So the scientists that we interviewed said that scaling up the technology shouldn't be too difficult, but they said there are challenges that do need to be managed. So, for example, a larger device's internal temperature, if it's larger, it's going to get warmer. So the temperature needs to be monitored and maintained as well. So NASA is testing the new hardware for this larger version. And it says here, the future MOXIE is the one that really counts. So the researchers say it will lay the groundwork for future space travel. And it says this is what explorers have done since time immemorial. They find out what resources are available where they're going and then find out how to use them to continue the work that they're doing. Yeah. So what do you think about those robots?
Oh, it's interesting. Both of them are doing great things in space. I like it. The astrobees are nice and cute and do everything for
They are very cute. They're cute little, you can hold them in your hand. They're so cute.
And it's the news about the what do you call it, sorry?
The MOXIE?
MOXIE.
Yeah.
MOXIE and astrobees. MOXIE sounds an awesome device to make oxygen on Mars, and it's a step. It has to take time. I'm excited. I wanted to know how it's going to go through.
Yes, yeah.
But it has to take time to see how we go. But it looks so good.
And how a larger MOXIE would function, that would be cool too. In the future,
exactly.
When they scale up,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So is MOXIE in the rover now, Lindsay?
MOXIE is in the Perseverance rover right now, making oxygen on Mars.
Okay, then.
Or has been, in several experiments. Yeah. Which is very cool. Okay. Yeah.
Cool,
the other thing to mention is, just very quickly on slightly different, still space-related news. So recently, we spoke about the Artemis 1 mission and our excitement about it. And Artemis 1 is still on Earth at time of recording. Now, as the administrator of NASA said, this is a new rocket. It's a new vehicle. So, of course, there are going to be teething problems. There's going to, if you want to see how, issues with a new rocket, look at the development of Starship. There are explosions going on everywhere as they succeed. They call it failing upwards, right? So as they fail, they learn new things and they eliminate that failure and then work on the next one. So SLS, again, the most powerful rocket in human history at the moment, is going to have a lot of failure points as it goes along. And before the show, Lino and I were talking about this. Rocket launches, and new rockets. Part of the journey is expecting that there's going to be a scrub. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be cool if they launched first time when they said they would, but scrubs are part of normal operations. That's part of the journey.
To be there. That's part of the journey. It is. If you think it's what's that saying, Lindsay? If it's too true, it probably is.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is.
Yeah. So the expectation of a launch the first time. Look, I kind of thought it would launch the first time, but I hadn't realized that they hadn't done full wet dress rehearsals yet, which is where they flood all the tanks. They run all the fuels through all the pipes and tanks and whatever else, and then check through instruments to see if it went well. So the full wet dress rehearsal, a couple of cracks appeared in the foam, which is normal. There's a foam casing to cool the middle tank. So a couple of cracks appeared, which wasn't too big of a deal. There was a pipe that leaked, that was leaking hydrogen, I think it was. And the third engine, there was a sensor that failed and they couldn't tell if their engine had cooled properly, because you have to cool the engines to a particular temperature. Otherwise, they will basically, they'll crack, explode, break, get damaged when they are flooded with the cold fuel that's needed to ignite and make flamey things happen. Yeah. So anyway, we follow the Artemis journey with hope. And looking forward to see it. So I think the next possible launches will be towards the end of September or sometime in October. So we'll just wait and see what NASA tells us about when they have a fixed date and time. And
cool,
NASA, I'm just saying it. I like the 10:30 p.m. I'm cool with that. Not so cool with it
for us, is it?
Well, it was
Australia.
The first attempt. The second attempt, however, was 4:15 in the morning on Sunday. Not so cool with that one. Anyway, but. Either way, I don't care what time. I'm waking up to watch this thing. I want to see, as they say, let's light this candle. I want to see it go. So, yeah. Exactly. It's history. I love watching historic things, as in historical moments, not disasters necessarily, but key moments where human beings have done something pretty cool, that advances humanity. So, there we are.
Let's Science is brought to you by StarQuest Media and is a fortnightly podcast that brings you the scientific wonders of our universe from a distinctly Catholic point of view. For more from Caroline, Lindsay, and friends, listen to the StarQuest show, Catholics of Oz. Find links from today's show at sqpn.com/science and find the Catholics of Oz at sqpn.com/Oz. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. The generous donations of our patrons at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Science and all the shows at StarQuest, which makes our nonprofit mission possible. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Join us next time for more scientific wonders, and thank you for listening to Let's Science on StarQuest.